Thank you, Director, and formerly acting and now. Lisa, we had a conversation, and you were quoting the paper about the reduction in real property value, and I know that this document doesn't reflect that, but I'm concerned about that going forward because that will impact our revenue side, which will impact our budget discussion we're having tomorrow. So between these two women at the table who have all the answers for us, a little mana'o, please, as far as what your projections, and I understand that one of the concerns is not just for fiscal year 18-19, but it's the real property collections coming up that we'll probably see a correction in. So
Correct. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that the certification that was submitted was as of January 1st. And I'll let Lisa speak to how we see those values changing in the coming year. And because some certain subdivisions have specifically been impacted, the mayor will be adding language to the disaster proclamation to allow our property tax to reassess certain areas as well. And that's in addition to what's already in our county code. We already have provisions for disasters, like if your house is damaged by fire or in this case lava, there's already provisions in our code to help those specific homeowners and property owners.
I appreciate that. And so the question is, we have 32 billion and change listed here for 18-19. Best guess, there was a reduction of 1.2 million, which was an estimate. I realize it's an early estimate, which, where do we think that's headed?
Lisa Muir, Administrator, Real Property Tax Office. You know, 3 weeks ago, we would never have anticipated losing $1 million in revenue just from one area in Puna. Friday, I wouldn't have estimated that that area would have grown so much just over the weekend.
Right.
So I'd have to say, to start with, we're looking at least $1 million in loss of revenue so far and counting. And it's looking more like 1.2 million is where we're at right now. This doesn't even include the agricultural farms that are taking a huge impact. We started looking at this just from the Leilani Estates, Lani Puna Gardens, in that immediate area. And, you know, last week we would have thought that was a pretty good area. And clearly, knowing what we know today, it's definitely not near enough. The area has lost value. And so if you're asking what the total loss could be, not including the business impact, but just the real property values, it could go up to 6.2 million if it's for the whole area beyond Pahoa, the intersection. We're obviously hoping it doesn't get to that, but I think we're just starting, and I'd be super hesitant to say that we're even close to coming to the end. Just hearing, like I said, on Friday from different agricultural farmers, we're seeing much greater impacts to people that are not even in the lava zone area, including the ranchers.
Not to mention the impact that visitor industry is also, taking as well.
And I appreciate that. And, Lisa, you touched on the ag standpoint. Long-term ramifications. These guys are typically going to be smaller producers, which not a real big balance sheet. So being able to survive. And if they lose it now, they're going to lose a year's, maybe 2 years worth of production. And so we as a council are going to have to be in part trying to figure out how we can help keep those guys in business, not necessarily in production. It's going to take time to recover from that. But because of that, we are going to have to be able to look at what areas that we can help mitigate their expenses going forward. And we've already started talking about this to some of the other state and federal legislators. I am told estimates anywhere from 10 up to 30 or 40 million dollars worth of lost production on the agriculture side, let alone. So I'll yield at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. Ms. O'Hara, go ahead.
Just to jump in on what Mr. Richards was discussing, I know you kind of Lisa said 6 point whatever, 4.2 million, but you're looking just at the Puna region there. But what he brings up is very important because that extends well beyond the Puna region, the crop damage. Not that that's real properties, Kuleana, but it affects the value of the ag land. And so, yeah, there's going to have to be numerous adjustments here, and it's not just Puna, it's going to wrap around the island because of the impact of this.
So one
sulfur.
of the things that real property tax has already discussed in-house is that, you know, we do have certain rules in place for egg dedication and non-dedicated programs. And, you know, this will not constitute a breach or whatever it's called. I mean, you know, we do understand they're going through and they can't, you know, maybe maintain the plans that they had. And, you know, so we are going to be understanding about that part, at least to not cause additional hardship. And it's probably too early to tell if they're, if our area would qualify for any kind of like USDA rural development type of assistance, you know. It feels like this has been going on for a long time, but it's really only a few weeks. And I'm not trying to make light of that. It's scary. I can't believe how much has happened. But Lisa's right. It's going to continue to go on. So because it's fairly early, we don't know all the impacts yet. We don't know all the impacts on our budget. We don't know all the impacts, you know, on our revenue yet. We do have some tools to help us, but that's for the county's budget. So it's, we are all worried about the farmers, the homeowners, you know, and all of that. And so some of those programs and federal and state assistance we'll be getting are not maybe laid out yet either.
Okay, I just got word there's going to be a meeting this evening at Pahoa High School cafeteria regarding that, and the deputy director of our Department of Agriculture will be there. But you're right, funding like that for crop damage and stuff usually comes out of what the FSA, which is the Farm Service Agency, I believe, out of the USDA. We're not sure where all that's going to go. But one thing I would ask as this continues is to try and be able to have a system where we can locate or identify as soon as possible the properties that are taken by lava via map so that we can confirm that to the owners. I have many owners in the Poiki region who probably lost their homes last Thursday, Friday, but it's not been confirmed. And so then they cannot deal with their insurance company, and they only have 2 weeks of lodging, blah, blah.
So housing is in charge of damage assessments, but real property tax has been putting in a lot of extra hours, both with the imagery and the flyovers and everything to confirm that, providing it to housing. I believe housing is making the final declaration. But they made a lot of progress on that last week. Some of the homes that were just what we believe were taken over the weekend, the imagery, they haven't been able to do the flyovers yet because of the weather, as well as when some of the certain helicopters are flying, the drones can't go up. But within a day or two, you know, they should be able to go up again. I mean, we have provided a lot of information, and I think yes, I agree, maybe we can update it faster, but everybody's working as quickly as they can with the information they have.
Okay, yeah, if we can speed that up, because that's been a big point of stress for the residents. And I know we lost a lot of farmland between Poiki Road and Opi'ikau Road, so that all needs to get documented.
Yeah, no, we fully agree. And as of Friday, we were caught up on determining and verifying the damaged homes. So, but then, you know, more things happened over the weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.